Okay, in this video, we're going to look at some of the other options on the data consolidation feature. Just remember again, because we're consolidating, each of these things starting, the top left is A3, cell A3. So when we do the consolidation, make sure that you also start off in A3. We did do that in the previous video, but I just want to point out that that's important because that's the way the function works. So if I just click on data consolidate, this is the one we did earlier, you'll see the same information comes up already, the consolidation. And remember, we said left row, right? And we didn't use the labels in the top row. So let's look at what happens if you do use the labels in the top row. So I'll click on top row this time and say OK. And what you can see immediately is that it now, see, it didn't actually, let me just show you something. You see, it's got this word sales repeated twice. And the reason for that is it didn't delete it. The consolidation started here. So what you should probably do is let's just delete everything, right? Go and delete all of the data before we did that consolidation. Go back into A3 and now click consolidate. The functions, the options will still be there. The links up, the references and whatever we ticked on. So now I'll say use labels in the top row, ticked on, and we say OK. And you can see now that it basically, instead of bringing one total across, it's effectively bringing each one across. And you can see, for example, the training was only in July. Now, the only thing about this is that the order here may not be what you want. Like it's July, June, April, May, June, July, which is fine if you want it that way. But if I'm just in the cell over there and click on the consolidate, you can see that it's basically pulling it in the order in which it was added in here. So that's just something to be aware of, that when you're doing when you're bringing in the top row, as in not just showing one total, but showing each thing separately, you would need to make sure that you've added these things in the correct order. Okay, so one more thing I want to show you. Let's delete this again. Let's delete all of this. Now go back into cell A3. Let's do the consolidation again. And now in this consolidation, what we're going to do is we're not going to do the top row. So we're looking at only the left column. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this create links to the source data. And if I say OK, what you'll see is it actually creates these groupings, right? So it's showing the same thing here, but these are now no longer values. They're actually sum formulas. Each line is a sum formula. And when you click on this expand here, the plus sign, it's basically showing you where it's pulling from. So you can see this, it's calling it income statement by month because it actually uses the name. I'm using the name of the file I've got right now is called income statement by month. So it uses the name of the file, which isn't really that useful when you basically have everything in the same sheet. But if you are pulling from different files, which we'll show in a separate video, you'll see that it actually shows each file name separately here. So you can see where it's pulling from in each file. And in that way, you can actually see what's making up the total and from which file it's pulling from. So here it's actually showing you just the name of the file for each of these different things. But you can actually see now that this is actually pulling in from June, May, June, and April. And if you look at something like, let's have a look at, you can see entertainment has 4 different things. If you look at something like the training, it's only pulling in the one, which is the July one. So you can see this is actually pulling in some formulas, and then when you expand it, it's grouping underneath it. When you expand, you actually see the rows where it's pulling in the formula. So that's the option. Remember, that was the option where, let me just go back. When we did the data consolidate, what caused that, remember, let's go back here. When we did the consolidate, what actually made that happen was the fact that we created links to the source data, right? And obviously, if we clicked on top row and created links to the source data, let's try that. Well, it's actually a bit messed up here because we should have first deleted that information. So let's do that. Let's delete everything first and then do it. Now, I just want to show you something. When I do all of that and I delete the content, I'm still having these groupings of the rows. Even though the data has been deleted, this group, deleting the data doesn't actually delete the groups, right? And the way you do the removing of the groups is under the data tab, under the ungroup, you know what I mean? You can just click on clear outline and okay, now it's deleted everything and now we can see what's left and let's just delete all of that, right? So now, once I've deleted that, I'm just gonna click here and expand that. Okay, let's expand the columns so they look okay. Normally you wouldn't have to delete and repeat. I'm just doing it just because of the sake of showing you the different examples. So again, I'm in column A3, I click on consolidate, and to show you now, if I have top row ticked on, left column ticked on, and I'm creating links, it's basically going to do exactly that. You can see now June, July, April, and if I click on the expand, you can see that where it's picking each thing up from. So these are all formulas that are linking back to the individual sheets. And then when I click on that, basically that line is effectively just a sum of the grouped up rows, which are by default collapsed. So you're not seeing them, but they're all there, right? And remember, you can be using these numbers on the top. So we'll look at groupings in a separate video, but if I click on 2, it expands everything. So it means it's at the second level of expansion. There's only 2 levels. And if I click on 1, it'll basically collapse everything. So that's to show you the detail, right? But most of the time, you know, so the main reason, obviously, remember, for using the option of creating the links, remember this option here of creating links to the source data, again, it's just that if any of these numbers change, then automatically the changed numbers will pull through here. Whereas if you don't actually have the links, if you make any changes to the source sheets, it obviously won't change it because it's just values. So let's just do this again, just to let me just cancel. Let's click on that drop down to ungroup. Let's clear the outline. And what I'm going to do is just delete all of this. You can see there's quite a bit of data there. Okay, sorry, one more. Right, let's delete all of that. And I'll just use the delete button to delete that. So just coming back, just to reiterate, when we do the data and we go to consolidate, and let's leave out the columns, right, the top row. So we're just going to do a single column of everything summed up. And if I remember the way we started off, we don't create the links to the source data. Remember, these ones here are now all just normal values that it's summed up. So if I make any changes to any of these sheets here, it's not going to pull through into this consolidated sheet. But very often, I mean, these could be numbers that you're not really going to change depending on the purpose of your consolidation. So this way of doing it without linking to the source data is usually perfectly fine. But again, it depends on the particular use case or particular circumstances that you have.